I mean, you may as well, right? You're already using the soap ingredients. What's a little human to the mixture? Like, no biggie. Hey guys, what's up? My name is Sky Webb and I'm here to talk about a true crime story that I cannot get off my mind. But before I get started, I just want to put out a little disclaimer that I mean no harm to any of the victims or the victims' families, and I wish everyone who was hurt within this story the utmost peace and solace either in rest or in recovery. With that out of the way, happy True Crime Thursday and happy fucking Halloween. Today is the 4th installment of my Halloween series. I think there might be one more after this, but clearly I'm running out of costumes because this is fucking ridiculous and I look so stupid and I'm so sorry for that. I am dressed as a witch today, / like a culty dark magic. I don't know what I am, but I thought black creepy hair was the way to go, so that's what I'm doing. Today's case is a super interesting case and it is super spooky. It fits so perfectly with Halloween and I'm so excited to be doing it. I've wanted to do this case for so long and I'm so excited that I can finally do it and it actually fits. Like I'm so excited and I hope you guys enjoy this story as much as I love it. April 1893 and Leonadra Cianciulli, the soap maker, is born. She's born in Italy in a town called Montella and she lives with her mum and her piece of shit dad. Her mum low-key hated Leonadra because she never really actually wanted to have a baby. She never wanted to have a daughter because she was actually conceived by rape. At the time, 1893, there was nothing her mum could really do. She couldn't seek help. It was a very different time and she was expected to have the baby and marry her rapist. So that's what she did. Leonadra's mum married her rapist and brought up a child that she never wanted. So growing up, Leonadra was blatantly aware of her mother's distaste for her. They didn't get along, obviously, and Leonadra wasn't close with her dad either. They didn't get along very well either. So Leonadra grew up in a very poor household with virtually no companionship, no relationships with anybody, and she grew up extremely lonely. This resulted in Leonadra being very depressed. Humans just aren't equipped to go through life alone. We need our friends, we need our relationships, and we need our mothers to like not hate us, you know? So growing up, being very depressed and very lonely, Leonadra tried to commit suicide twice as a child, but she lived and life went on as normal. Now that Leonadra had grown up and she was ready to start thinking about marriage and children and starting a family of her own, her mother started looking at a list of different suitors to take her daughter's hand in marriage. There was one guy in particular, one suitor that for whatever reason ticked all her boxes and she was really interested in setting up an arranged marriage with him and Leonadra, and was super disappointed and distraught when she came home to find out Leonadra had already found her own guy and married him. Leonadra was sick to death of being told what to do. She was sick of her life being controlled by these people that didn't even like her. So she was like, fuck you mum, fuck you dad, here's my husband, his name's Raphael. And Raphael and her, their plan was to actually live with the parents that didn't get along. But the parents were like, no, get out. It was at this point that Leonadra suspected her mother had actually placed a curse on both her and Raphael because of her disapproval of their marriage. And she essentially believed that this curse wished negativity upon them and upon their lives, which I mean, nobody wants that. And so at this point, she was forced to move out of home and she and Raphael moved to his hometown of Loria. Fast forward to 1927 and Raphael had been up to some sketchy business. He got arrested for fraud. This left Leonadra to sit around and wait and feel the weight of the whole town judging her for her husband's actions, not even her own. And it wasn't a fun wait. So the minute that Raphael gets out of prison, the couple moved to Macedonia because his bad reputation brought a lot of judgment upon the couple and it just wasn't worth it to live in Loria anymore, so they moved to Macedonia. Now it's 1930 and the couple have moved into a big, beautiful home in Macedonia. They've got clean slates, nobody knows them, and they're ready to live their lives. So what happens? An earthquake, a big one, 6.6 magnitude. And just like that, their beautiful brand new home falls apart. It's in pieces. The earthquake just completely destroys their home and they're forced to leave, which sucks, but to be fair, they got off pretty easy compared to the 1,500 people that died in the earthquake. So, you know, glass half full. Now they move to Carrasco, and in Carrasco, Leonadra actually opens her own business. She owns and runs her own little shop and she builds a really great reputation for herself. She's known as being friendly and kind and helpful, and she builds like a really good community. She's pretty happy here, you know, there's no drama, there's no earthquakes, Raphael has no bad reputation, there's no judgment from the community, everybody loves her, she's running her shop, she's really quite happy, but she can't escape the turmoil that 17 pregnancies has left her. She'd already suffered from 3 miscarriages, and on top of that, get this, she gave birth to 14 different children, and out of the 14, 10 of them had died. They had all died from an array of different illnesses and sicknesses, and she was left with 4 children. So of course she was super protective and cautious and loving towards her remaining 4 children, as you would be. You wouldn't want to deal with any more loss. Like, that is an astronomical amount of children to lose. I can't even begin to imagine that. And because of this hurt and this fear, she was almost obsessed with keeping them safe. She basically just wrapped them up in cotton wool and like never let them leave the house. She was just so protective, and because of this she actually built a reputation for herself as being like a really good mother, which is something she didn't learn from her mother, put it that way. Now, something else that she was obsessed with, which probably wasn't very healthy, was fortune tellers and curses and spells and witches and all of that kind of stuff. And now she had found a fortune teller who lived nearby her, and she couldn't wait to go and get a fortune, a reading, a telling, whatever the fuck they're called, done. And she tells them, you will have many children, but you will lose them all before you die. Never what you want to hear from a fortune teller at all. This obviously freaked Leonadra out, and she continued to be super protective. But in 1939, men across Italy were being picked and taken from their homes to go and prepare to fight in the war. And one of the men who were picked was named Giuseppe. Giuseppe happened to be Leonadra's only living son, and just between you and me, he was definitely the favorite. This obviously made Leonadra panic, and it made her spiral into the world of witchcraft and occult things and the fortune telling stuff, which I'm very ignorant to the world of witches and all of that stuff, so if I misspeak, I apologize to all the witches out there. Please don't hurt me, don't curse me, sorry. So basically, Leonadra was looking for some kind of plan, some kind of way to protect Giuseppe, to keep him safe so that she didn't lose her children, and she thought witchcraft was the answer. And she actually stumbled across some occult stuff. It was this occult stuff where she got this idea that she could essentially kill someone else and their soul would be taken as a replacement for Giuseppe's soul, so he wouldn't be killed. She was basically planning to like make a human sacrifice, essentially, like, here, have this one, don't kill him, you know what I mean? Before she did anything though, she wanted a little bit of insight into her future, and she needed some clarity, and she thought the best way to do that was to go and see another fortune teller. So she actually sought out a Romani woman for a palm reading, and this Romani woman said to her, on one palm I see prison, on the other I see a mental asylum. These readings aren't getting any better for Leonadra. I know what you're thinking, right? Like, abort mission, cancel the plans, no human sacrifices, done and dusted, thank you, no thank you, like, just done. Cancel it. Like, clearly she was destined to fail, right? But Leonadra did not give a single fuck Leonadra did not give, and she decided that her priority was to keep Giuseppe safe, and that's the way that she thought that she could keep Giuseppe safe, and so she went forward with her plan. Leonadra started working as a fortune teller herself, and she would actually seek out very vulnerable women who were down in the dumps, women who were easily impressionable, women who didn't have a lot of family or anything like that, and she would convince these women to leave town. She told the first woman, a middle-aged woman who had a pretty crappy love life, that she needed to leave town right away. She needed to write a letter and say that she's super happy, she's moving on to bigger and better things, nothing is wrong, like nothing that would raise any alarms, and she was to pack her things and leave immediately. Leonadra told her that once she left, she would meet a guy. She would meet a big, handsome, nice guy who would marry her and provide for her and take care of her, and they would live happily ever after. He would sweep her off her feet, and you know, she wanted that very badly. And so she listened to Leonadra. The woman's name was Faustina, and she was so excited, so elated that she was about to meet her new husband that she literally went home and packed up all of her things within an hour or two, and then she went back to visit Leonadra. She stopped by Leonadra's house to say goodbye and thank her yet again for this amazing reading that she was given, but unfortunately Faustina never left that house. Leonadra poured Faustina a glass of wine to celebrate her departure, and within minutes, Faustina had passed out from all of the drugs that Leonadra had put in the wine. Leonadra didn't waste any time at this point. She immediately killed Faustina with an axe, and she later cut her into 9 pieces. She drained all of the blood from Faustina's body before then dumping all of her body parts into a big old pot, and then she added some caustic soda, and when I say some, I mean about 7 kilos of it. And this was originally bought for her to make her soap, because the shop that she ran, she sold soaps. And then she stirred this mixture for a very long time until the body parts melted and dissolved into a big goopy mush. She emptied the pot into a septic tank, and then for the blood, she waited until it had all coagulated, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. She then dried it in the oven, ground it all up, mixed it with flour, sugar, chocolate, milk, and eggs, and she made tea cakes out of Faustina's blood. So these blood tea cakes she actually sold in her store to other women, and she even ate some herself. That's disgusting. Disgusting! The second woman to see Leonadra, her name was Francesca, and she was seeing her for some guidance on employment. She was really desperately seeking employment, and you know, she wanted some insight as to what to do. So Leonadra tells this desperate woman that she has an inkling she could get a job at a school, but she would have to move to this school. She would have to leave town. And so she tells Francesca to do pretty much the same thing as Faustina. Write some postcards, write a letter, tell everybody you're leaving. Don't tell a soul before you've left. Just leave these letters for them to find, and pack all your things and leave town, and don't tell a soul until after you've left. And then she kills poor Francesca in the exact same manner as she killed Faustina, only this time, instead of emptying the pot into a septic tank, she decided to use that to make her little soaps that she sold at the store, because that's what she bought the caustic soda for to begin with. I mean, you may as well, right? You're already using the soap ingredients. What's a little human to the mixture? Like, no biggie. And then she made the bloody tea cakes again as well. And then a third lady visited Leonadra, and this lady's name was Virginia, and she was actually a soprano singer. She was very, very talented, and she had sung in some amazing places for some very important people. She was coming to Leonadra for employment guidance as well, and she was told that there would be an amazing opportunity for her in Florence. So she did the same thing for a third time. Leave town, write your letters, don't tell anybody. Come drink some wine with me, wine, dine, and murder you, and then I'll make some soap and call it a day. And for all of these fortune-telling services that she provided for these poor women that she murdered, she was actually paid very generously, so these women were essentially paying for their own death. And with Virginia, well, Leonadra actually sold off all of her clothes and her jewelry, and she was making money from her little human soaps and tea cakes, blood tea cakes. So she was actually profiting quite a lot from these murders. I just think it's a little bit rude, honestly, but whatever. And just a little fun fact to add, Leonadra actually went on to say that Virginia's tea cakes, blood cakes, whatever, they were the tastiest of all the cakes, and she actually had a lot of feedback from everybody else saying, hey, these are the best ones you've made, what did you do different? The only thing she did different was kill a different person. So I really wonder what it is about her that tasted different. They said that she tasted more sweet. Leonadra said the girl was really sweet. Everyone said the tea cakes were the sweetest of the lot, which it just makes me really curious, like, why is that? Is that due to her diet or her like blood sugar? Like, what is that? I'm so curious. So unlike the other two women whose family pretty much just accepted the fact that they had up and left and didn't tell anyone, Virginia, her sister-in-law, was a little bit different, and she thought that something was wrong. She didn't think that Virginia would just randomly do this. She thought that something was a little bit suspicious about it, and so she went to the police. She actually started asking around herself first, and she found out that the last place Virginia was ever seen walking into was Leonadra's place. So she went to the police with this information, and they immediately went to speak with Leonadra. And it actually wasn't long at all before they arrested Leonadra. At first, Leonadra didn't really say much. She was just very silent. She was a bit indifferent to the whole situation. She acted like she didn't really care. She wasn't helpful. She didn't answer questions. But the minute that the police started pointing fingers at her son Giuseppe, she started singing. She told police everything. She confessed to every last detail of the crimes, of the murders. And then even while she was in court, she corrected the lawyer person, whatever, she corrected them and said, actually, no, this is, like, she corrected the details, like the fine details. So she was actually very forthcoming once she thought Giuseppe could be implicated in any way. Leonadra's trial was huge at the time. It was such a bizarre case, such a bizarre story, like blood cakes and human soap, like that is some Sweeney Todd-ass shit. And everybody wanted to know, like, what was wrong with this crazy woman? Why would someone do this? How could they do this? Like, what the fuck? So her trial attracted a lot of attention. And she was actually super calm during the trial. She didn't seem anxious at all. She didn't seem angry or upset. She answered everybody's questions. She was very forthcoming during the trial. And the fact that she was so calm really creeped everybody out. Everyone thought she was like some crazy witch, and they were very afraid of her and thought she was very chilling and disturbing. It was crazy. Leonadra Cianciulli was found guilty of the murder of Faustina, Francesca, and Virginia, and I'm not sure if she got like some other charge for like distribution of human remains. Like, surely you'd think there would be something to do with that, but I don't know. But regardless, she was sentenced to 30 years in prison and 3 years in a mental asylum, just like the fortune teller said. The Romani woman was actually right. While she spent time in prison, Leonadra actually wrote a book about her life. She wrote a memoir detailing her cursed life, her murders, her sacrifices, a bit about the witchcraft, and she named this book An Embittered Soul's Confession, which is such a sick name for a book. Like, I love that. And then in 1970, she actually passed away from a cerebral hemorrhage, something to do with the brain, I guess. And as she passed away as one of Italy's most famous serial killers ever, they decided to take some of her tools, I guess you could say, her pot, and some of the stuff she used to murder and then cook and whatever her victims. They actually took that and put it in a museum in Rome, which I'm devastated that I've only just found this out. Well, not just, but I'm devastated because I've been to Rome and I would have loved to go see that. I think that would have been so cool and spooky and fun. I'm just so annoyed. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the full case of Leonadra Cianciulli, the soap maker. Thank you guys so much for watching this one. I really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this one. What do you think about Leonadra? Do you think her plan would have worked? I obviously, as I said, I don't know anything about witchcraft and occult things. Is that like a thing that can actually happen, that you can like replace souls so that someone else doesn't die, because that's kind of scary. I need to know if that is real. If there's any witches in the chat, please let me know down below. Also, just let me know any thoughts or feelings you have about this case. You can head over to my social medias, which are all linked in the description down below, or you can just let me know in the comments. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up if you feel like it. I would really appreciate it. And be sure to subscribe so that you can see all my new videos I post every single Thursday all about true crime, and I'd love to have you be a part of it. Make sure you guys are being safe out there. Don't trust fortune tellers, because even if they are legit, what if they just curse you because they don't like you? You know, it's just sketchy. Like, just don't do it. Don't curse your children, even if you hate their new husbands. And most importantly, never ever use soap, because you don't know what could be in there. You could be fucking using your soap and an eyeball will start hanging out. No, thank you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe. Bye. Coagulate. I'm just saying the same thing over and over. Coagulate.